Welcome back to the Experiential Strategist. I am so excited about today's episode and today's guest, Liz Lathan, co-founder of Club Ichi. Liz first came onto my radar through one of my students, actually, and she told me, you have to check out Club Ichi. So of course I did, and I ended up going immediately down a rabbit hole, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the things, and I just kept seeing the incredible work that she's building with her co-founder. And I remember thinking, I need to meet the person behind this. So fast forward, and we sat down for a conversation a few weeks ago, and I walked away thinking, okay, I've got to get her on the podcast because Liz has such a fresh, real, and incredibly valuable perspective on our industry. And I knew that I had to share it with all of you. So Liz is a 20-year B2B event marketing veteran and a co-founder of Club Ichi, which is a global community that has grown to over 600 paid members across 15 countries in less than a year. And what I love most about what she's building is this. She says it's not just a free Slack group. It's not a leads database. It's a true community where event professionals are actually solving problems and building meaningful relationships. Liz, welcome to the Experiential Strategist. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. And updates, we're now almost 800 members. And yeah, it's growing like crazy. It's expanding and we're just having a grand old time.
I love that. And I also have to say that you are an amazing interviewer. I was watching you at Cannes and all of your little interviews of Canva and all of the pop-ups and everything. And it is entertaining, hilarious. And so if people don't follow you, follow Club Ichi because it's a very entertaining Instagram page.
That's true. It's really, the Instagram is targeted toward FOMO because we really, so our official tagline is we're a social club for people in events who do cool and like to talk about it. And we do. So we get to meet with the coolest people in the world that are doing the coolest types of events in the world. And while the majority of our conversations are B2B, because that's my background is B2B, and that's really where our world kind of collides, B2C is a huge part of B2B. I mean, a couple of our members were city hosts for FIFA, but these corporations are activating at B2C events. And so the blend, there's not really B2C anymore and B2B anymore. It's all H to H, right? It's all human to human. And so embracing anyone, no matter what part of events you're in, that's really what Club Ichi is about. Where else can you go meet someone who is a lighting rigger and an AV professional and an event strategist for a Fortune 500 company, an exhibit booth installer all in one place and just learn something fascinating from every one of them? That's us.
Oh my gosh. Well, it is so fabulous that you created this community, and I really want to dive into Club Ichi, but could you first just give me a little bit of your background, just kind of how did you even land at Club Ichi? So where have you been? How'd you get here?
Yeah, I kind of grew up in corporate. So I'm 20 years, as you said, in the Dell, IBM, like all the kind of corporate pointy-toed shoes, wear a blazer type of worlds. But we were always pushing the envelope and trying to do interesting things, knowing that you have to do it within the bounds of the brand guidelines. And when you broke those brand guidelines, you either dealt with the consequences or you did it intentionally, right? So there were all of those things. But you can still think a little bit outside and color a little bit outside the lines, and trying to figure out how you can prove the value of that was something I wanted to talk to more people about. And I always, of course, was into the event industry organizations and learning from other people and figuring out how they do stuff. But they weren't really optimized for those conversations I wanted. They were more optimized for learning, professional development, CEUs, and all of that kind of official stuff, which I have my CMP. So sure, I needed that, but it's not what I personally needed out of getting with those people. And so Club Ichi was born out of the idea that the best part of events is the coffee break. So can we just structure events that are more all coffee break and give people an opportunity to have structured and unstructured conversations to uncover inspiration that they really need in life and in business?
Wow. Just talking to you for 30 seconds, I already want to join Club Ichi. That's what happened to me before. I met you, I followed social, and then I was like, okay, Club Ichi, I got to do this. But it sounds to me, going back to your background, I have a corporate background as well, and it's the rules are different. I can tell that you're a rule breaker. So I would love to hear, and was not on any of the questions that I sent to you, but were you a beg for forgiveness type of corporate group like I was?
Forgiveness, not permission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And honestly, in the corporate world, I actually interviewed for Dick's Sporting Goods and I got to the very end for their creative director and the VP told me that I wasn't creative enough. And this was years ago. It broke my heart. I wasn't creative enough. And so I didn't get the job, but me being creative in corporate and just pushing buttons and just, begging for forgiveness later,
Yeah.
that's what landed me in experiential. Do you
Yeah.
think that's kind of like what, pushing those buttons and the boundaries of the rules, is that kind of what got you more experiential and less corporate?
Yeah, I think that it all should be experiential, and maybe part of it is just my own personal preference and way of learning, that there are some things I'm willing to sit and listen to a lecture to, but I'm not willing to do it for a long extended period of time. And I think that we've just designed these conferences, these user conferences, these sales kickoffs where you're forced in a windowless ballroom to sit where you're cutting off the blood circulation to your head in this like awful position, scrunched in with everybody else and told that you have to learn all this stuff. It's just, to me, in my brain, not conducive to actually retaining the information they're trying to teach me. And I'm a very hands-on learner, so the more I can touch something, feel something, figure out how it works. I kind of have an engineering mindset, even though I'm not such a math person, but I took that and went more journalism, because what I like to do is take things apart and then put it back together in a more simple way that I can understand it. So that came out for me in journalism and interviewing people and writing their stories in a way that other people could get it. And so I view that as the way I like to learn, which is where it led me to experiential. And I would say, honestly, what really clicked with me was I was a space camper as a kid. I went to space camp every single year from fourth grade through high school. And then I went back and was a counselor one year. And talk about experiential learning. Like, you were learning science, astronomy, math, all of the things while pretending to train like an astronaut and physically doing these missions and like all the stuff. That was experiential learning that shaped the way I like to do things. And that's really what I carried forward, I think.
I love that story. There was a space camp movie in the 80s.
My favorite movie.
I was always wanting to go to space camp because of that movie. I had no desire to do anything with space, but that movie. So you lived space camp. That's amazing.
I did. I
Well,
love that movie. You can't actually find it on DVD or streaming. So I had a DVD because I bought it for my children, but it got all scratched up because we'd watch it in the car. And now you can't buy it anywhere. So if anyone listening can find me a copy of Space Camp, please let me know.
okay, I'm on a mission. I'm actually going to make a note of it because I would love to show my kids that movie too.
You would be surprised how many times they say the S word. I did not realize or remember that when I made my children watch it. And I was a little bit horrified, but they were like, Mom, it's fine. I'm like, I know. I just didn't remember that the 80s were like that.
It was just getting to put on the astronaut suit and all of the things that you got to do. I didn't even hear the S word either. That's so funny. So I want to know what the exact moment was that you decided that Club Ichi just needed to exist. You just
okay.
needed to have it.
So the moment came from other moments that we had had before. So because I had been in event industry worlds where I had gone to all the conferences and I really wanted the conferences to change and do more unconferencey types of things. So I had experienced unconferences. I ran some at Dell and some other companies I was at. And so the idea of crowdsourced content and crowd-led facilitation really inspired me. And that's really what I wanted. So I had asked one of the associations I was a part of if we could do that at our annual conference. I was president of the board that year, so I thought maybe I had some sway to change what the content would be like. I did not have very much sway to change the content, but they did allow me a little 3-hour session to try this unconference thing. And I saw the survey results and I saw that it was the highest rated session out of all of the conference, but they didn't want to do it again. They're like, you had your fun, move on with your life. So in 2017, my friend Nicole and my friend Tom and I were sitting at this conference and we were like, why don't we just do it ourselves? Let's just throw this unconference thing. So we rented out the Children's Museum here in Austin, Texas, and we put a $200 price tag on it to cover the bills and tried to see if anybody would come. We had 87 people fly in from around the country to try out this unconference that we had created. And every single one of them was like, you have to do more of these. This is exactly what we want. It is not to replace what's happening in the industry. It's to supplement it because we never get this kind of time together. So we started running those. It was called Hot Dokimazo at the time. Dokimazo being the Greek word for to try or prove that something is genuine, and hot, H-A-U-T-E, like fashionably elegant or high class, which we were totally not, which made it even funnier. And no one could say it, which made it even better. So we had all the fun sayings. Are you living your life in HD? Are you a hottie? And our events are hot. Like, we did this whole thing. That led us to actually being brought in to start an experiential agency with some friends that had come to our unconferences. So I ended up leaving IBM to start this agency with them. Nicole had her own event planning company, and she left her company behind and came, and we started this agency together. And eventually Tom came over because we ended up launching a music venue, and he became the CEO of the music venue. So we all did this agency thing, and we were still doing these hot dokimazos inside of the agency. So we did that for 4 years through COVID. It was never a community necessarily, like not an official community. It was simply a series of events that we did. It was a way we did things. So fast forward 4 years later, the agency, we ended up selling some of the other companies, and the agency wanted to go in a little different direction, more agency media type of stuff with some of the events they did. And so Nicole and I decided that it was probably time for us to go focus really on this community thing that we loved so much. So 2022 is when we left the agency behind and just started doing our own, those think tanks inside other people's conferences. So they'd call us and say, we need to build more community at our events. Will you come do a think tank for us? So the Hot Dokimazos became part of it. We actually couldn't take the name Hot Dokimazo because at the time the agency owned the name Hot. So we left that behind. But about a year into that, those people that used to come to those Hot Dokimazos started LinkedIn messaging us and finding us again and going, hey, where'd your community go? Okay, we didn't have a community. What are you talking about? No. I went to every single one of those events. You had a community. I had the shirt. Where's the community? And mine and Nicole's company at the time was called the Community Factory. And so we threw this little retreat, 15 people in Waco, Texas, around Christmas time. We were just like, we need a couple days to just not think about anything and hang with our friends and do this community event. They all came out and they were really pressing us. They were like, you don't understand. Hot Dokimazo was a thing and you have to bring it back. Your company's called the Community Factory. You need to have your own community. And I jokingly said, well, what would we call it? The commies? Like, that would be weird because we're the Community Factory. It would be, so we had to come up with a name, and we were all just sitting in a circle in the living room of this gathering house, and everyone's throwing out names. And I told them, I was like, you know what? I just read this Japanese phrase, ichigo, ichii, which means one moment, one time. And that's what we all try to create with our events, that unrecapturable moment. And everybody just went, oh my God, goosebumps. You have to call it Ichi. We are one. We are Ichi. And one of the guys, David T. Stevens, if you've heard of him, grabs his phone, does something with his thumbs, and he goes, I did it. And I was, you did what? He goes, I bought the URL, weareichi.com. I'll sell it to you for $1. And I was like, wait, what? So we were forced to create Club Ichi in that moment. And we just launched it as a Slack channel. Honestly, that's where it started in 2023, was just a Slack channel. We did some supper clubs here in Austin and brought some people together. And it was actually at the end of 23, the beginning of 24, that we realized we were spending way more time playing with our community stuff than we were doing the client work that we had started the company to do. And thought, well, let's just see, can you turn on a membership fee, get a couple of sponsors, and see if people really want this? And that's what happened. So it's actually been 2.5 years, and it's now over 800 members. We have over 11,000 on the email list, getting all the newsletter stuff. We do events almost every single month somewhere in the world, and it's expanding into city pods, which are kind of our version of chapters, and it's growing, and it's a real fun time.
I actually love this story so much because I know I have a lot of female entrepreneur friends, and on Instagram, it looks like everyone's doing so well. They're getting the top clients. They're making all the money. They're doing all this stuff. You've been building this since 2017.
We call this our 10-year overnight success.
Thank you. So I love that you acknowledge that. So people out there, like, if you're in the middle of building something, if you're at the beginning of building something, you'll get there. Stick with it. It doesn't happen to get to 800 members in a year. You know, this has been a thing in the works.
Well, let's just say, I mean, I think it was Tony Robbins that said people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And I think that's a big part of it. But I also reality check. We do these supper club events all over the US. Listen, guys, it still takes me over 750 personal DMs to get 20 people to show up to something. It's a grind. It is not easy. You can't just build community and they will come. It is a full-time, all the time job. And so if someone says, I'm just going to launch a Slack channel and that'll be a community, good luck to you. It takes actual work.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. I've started 8 businesses over the last 20 years. So yes, I understand that. So back to Club Ichi, how would you explain it to someone who's never heard of it in just one sentence? And I'm waiting for your kitschy words. You have the best kitschy words.
Well, again, we landed on the tagline of we're a social club for people in events who do cool shit and like to talk about it. It's because that's what we like to say, that we're a reverse mullet. We're party in the front, business in the back. So the way into the front door is to have a good time, whether we're actually throwing a party, doing one of our spontaneous think tanks, chartering a yacht in Croatia, holding conference sessions on inflatable unicorns. That's the way that we roll. But what people get out of that are the true connections, the trust building, the real conversations, and what we like to call profitable connections.
Amazing. I mean, you had me at yacht, but I so it started out a Slack community and kind of your mastermind,
Mm.
but how is it different from, let's say, the MPI events, the other events out there? Why would someone choose to join Club Ichi over these other things?
I don't think they should choose it to join against any of the other ones. I think it totally depends on what you're trying to accomplish. I would say that the associations, if you read any of their mission statements, their intent, the reason they exist is advocacy, professional development, certifications, and like it's all of the professional reasons you are in this industry, and community is a byproduct of those. Yes, you form a community. Yes, you make great friends. Yes, they build your career. But we're the opposite. Community is the product, and the byproduct is the professional development, the advocacy, all the things that are happening in there. So if you're just looking for, you need your CEUs, you need to go learn a new skill, you enjoy that, then the associations are exactly where you should go. If you want to go get certified in like early career event professional, 100% you should go be a part of that, go through those programs and get the certification. I would say that in the early parts of your career, the social club aspect is right now more than ever really appealing because people work remote. You don't have the social activities we used to have at work when we went into the office every day. And so I think the young folks are craving not 6-month-long mentorship programs, but bumping into someone and learning what they do and hearing more about it that way. And so I think that's where we get the Gen Zs and the millennials that get really interested. And then for the more seasoned event professionals, won't call us old people, we're kind of tired of hearing the same case studies being shown over and over again. And we just want to talk to each other and find out how you're doing things at your company. And so it appeals to those folks as well. So that was way more than the soundbite, but the soundbite is the social club. That's what we go with because you'll feel that when you come in. Like the first moment you get in the Slack channel, you see the vibe. Like it's really camaraderie driven and friend driven.
Okay, so if you were to say in one sentence, who is it for and who is it not for, how would you describe that?
So I usually call it for B2B event professionals. But what that means in our membership is about 40% corporate and in-house event professionals, some association as well. About 30% are the freelancers, solopreneurs that are working on those programs. And then about 30% are the agencies and suppliers. And that ranges from, we've got a few DJs up to experiential agencies, exhibit houses, anyone who's part of that ecosystem. So that's the blend of everything that we've got.
So I want to shift gears a little bit right now because when we first started talking, something that inspired me so much that you said, I actually went on to write a blog post on it and did a podcast on it because I feel like this one thing that you told me, so many more business owners and corporations should really embrace and do. And that is the fact that you teach everyone that comes to work for you the language of sales and marketing.
Right.
And if you're in the events industry and you've come up as a planner, if you're in your first year, 5 years of planning, you don't learn the language of marketing and sales.
Right.
You don't learn that. You learn logistics. You learn how to manage BEOs and budgets, and you learn all of those things. And so I was just blown away that you told me that everyone that comes to work for you basically gets a free education on that. And that is such a gift because that's basically what I teach all of my students is the sales and marketing of events so that you can actually go to the next level of your career. So you've actually given anyone that comes to work for you a gift to move on and move up. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to talk about that for a second. And how did you come to that? How did you come to that conclusion you need to do that for your employees?
So this was a challenge I had when I was at Dell. My team would come to me and ask for raises, as one does, right? Go to your boss, when do I get my next raise? But we were salary capped in what we did. And the way that it worked at that company was pay bands. And so you have, certain amount of movement you can do within a pay band. If you're a B band or a C band or a D band. So the B bands are the doers, the C bands are the thinkers, and the D bands are the executive strategists at the time. It's all changed now, but that was kind of the path. We were all mostly band B and lower C. So there was no way, if you were going to be on the event team, for you to even move to another band. You had to go to a completely different job in order to do it. And they would come to me and ask, why are the marketing people getting paid so much more than we're getting paid when we work twice as hard? We travel and are away from our families. We, are on site for 42 hours straight without sleep sometimes, and yet they get the pay bump? That doesn't make any sense. And that's when I started really recognizing that the gap was, it's because we're talking about chicken and survey results, and they're talking about pipeline and revenue. We need to make sure that our jobs are tied to the business, not tied to the experience. The experience matters. Everything we do matters, but we are in an administrative outsourceable role when we don't talk about the language of business. So I went to our HR team. We started looking at what our band levels were and then comparing them against the marketing ones and finding the language in there that tied those marketing jobs to the business that was missing from the event jobs. So we were able to take some of those C-level bands, add some of that language in it, and give our team a path to get to those higher pay bands. And that came with needing education. So I developed a program called Modern Marketing for Event Professionals and started getting my team members who cared about it, because not everyone wanted that. And if some people were perfectly fine doing the job they were doing and would be happy to do it till they died, and that's fine, great. The other ones are like, why can't I be a director level? Well, because you're not speaking like one. So we did that program. And then when I went to IBM, it was a very similar process. But IBM at the time, modern marketing had kind of next gen marketing, whatever any of the companies called it, had started to become a real thing. And the IBM teams were actually teaching people marketing. And so it was my job to tie the marketing words they were teaching to events, because that's the part that was missing. Yes, they were teaching about influence pipe, creative pipe, revenue, account based. They were teaching the words. They weren't teaching how it related to my people. And so connecting the dots for them was really important. So that's really what I was kind of on a mission to make sure that event professionals understand the P&L, the profit and loss statement, and know that we are the P, not the L. And if you keep being viewed as a cost center, you are the L and you are cuttable. But when you start viewing yourself as a profit center and the reason this pipeline and revenue is coming in, you're much more safe in your role.
I love that so much. And we have not even had this conversation before. But one of the things that I teach in my certification is that if you treat your event as an asset and not a line item on the budget, everyone else falls in line.
Yes.
It's shocking how everyone else actually falls in line, starts respecting the event, looking at as a profit revenue generator, and not just a budget line item that could be cut next year.
Absolutely.
So I love that. But why do you think so many companies, they just don't get it? Like, they don't understand that. It takes us being in the job for 7 years being like, why am I still making less than six figures? Marketing's making twice as much as me. And they're not doing all the hard, dirty work.
Right.
And then, why do you think that is in the corporations?
I think organizationally, the strategy and the thinking sits in a different department. And the event team kind of comes in as the order takers. Some marketing director has decided what events are going to be right for the marketing the product line they're responsible for. They say, we want to go to these 10 events, lob it over to the event team. The event team will execute it and make it happen. And what they don't understand is that the event team is this kind of, center of excellence that is doing the same thing for multiple business units. And if anyone dared to ask one of those event people, they could tell them, hey, over in this business unit, they're doing it this way, and they're actually seeing better pipeline because I can see their reports and your reports, and you've never thought to ask them. So I can be a strategic asset. So it really takes the event team kind of standing up and saying, look, guys, we actually have a cross-silo view of these things. Let me share my insights with you, and then get that seat at the table. That's what we ended up doing, and that's kind of how it worked for us. I think a lot of times companies actually use their external agencies for this purpose. So we had, when I was at IBM, we used George P. Johnson for our event agency across almost everything we did. And we were very siloed in our business units. So I didn't talk very much to the other BUs until I got the GPJ team to come in and give us the trend report. Like, what are the other business units doing at their events that we should be doing at our events, and learning more about it that way. Actually think it's kind of a secret doorway that more people should be doing. If you've got an agency that's working with other BUs, have the agency tell you what's happening.
Exactly. Absolutely. Learn the language. That's what I tell everyone. Learn the language so that you can speak it. So you can speak to sales, you can speak to marketing, you can talk to a CFO, CMO, CEO, all at the same table, and everyone's talking the same language about an event.
Well, and you'll understand that they don't all get the same slide at the post-event report. The CFO slide has to look different than the CMO slide, which has to look different than the CRO slide, because they care about very different metrics. And when you cram it all on a single slide, you get pushed to the bottom of the deck and you are no longer of strategic value to them. So when you can understand what language is going to matter, you can then strategically craft your messaging so that your events stay for the following years.
That is such valuable information. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Can you share with me how you personally define and measure success for Club Ichi gatherings?
Well, it depends on the type of gathering we're doing. So we have what we call community gatherings, which are really the community members just coming in together. From a sponsorship perspective, we call it a potluck. We're not out to make money off of it. We're not trying to do it's really help us cover the cost. That way, there is no feeling of sharks and minnows, no people coming in trying to recoup what their investment was because I need my target audience there. It's very much like we're all bringing this experience together. So the goal for that is break even, let people have a great time, and do a lot of social media FOMO. So those are very kind of specific ways of looking at that one. But then we'll do these sponsor events for folks where a sponsor will hire us like a service to put together a supper club gathering. And it's our job to fill the room with 20 of their prospects so that we can facilitate the supper club conversation, make it extremely organic, make it feel Club Ichi, but also build the relationship on their behalf. Those are intended for us to make money. It's a service we're offering to the sponsor, but the feeling of the event has to be our same community vibe feeling. It can't be stand up, do a pitch, have a steak. None of that stuff. Like, it's got to actually be fun. Our goals for that one is truly for us revenue driving because we have bills to pay. So it's, just like with any event portfolio, understanding why you're doing things and putting the right metrics behind it so you know if you succeeded is really important.
So majority of our industry likes to measure ROI on attendance and engagement. And
Right.
engagement is defined different no matter who you talk to.
Right.
And so when we talked about this the last
Yeah.
time we chatted, and you actually use a lot of ROE.
Yes.
And a lot of people, they don't know what return on experience, return on emotion. They don't know what that is. And so when did you start using ROE?
Yeah.
In
So
addition,
ROE was something we worked on back in it was right after COVID. So 2020 is when we started thinking about it. And the idea was all these research studies had come out talking about that emotion is what drives decision making. But none of them said which emotion drives decision making. Is it fear? Is it, we had no idea. My theory and Nicole's theory was that it was happiness. If you can create an event and people are happy and making connections, then they're going to do business with you. So that was the theory going into it. We hired an actual researcher, a statistician, strategist person to develop this program. And we created it was still COVID time. So it was across 2021. We did these 4 virtual experiences that included this beautiful gifting experience. They were highly experiential virtual things. Like we did the world's first shark dive live on Zoom, where you could talk to the diver while he was underwater with the sharks. And we did this whole thing around space where we had an astronaut doing, it was like, we did the most amazing things. But the intent was create something unbelievable and incredible and measure 3 facets of it. So did the people, the peers, actually connect with each other over it? Did the sponsor connect with the prospects they wanted over it? And did the event organizer get credibility for creating the experience? And trying to figure out, like, what are the emotions that they're all feeling and are they driving business? So what it came down to after a year, and then we started trying it in 2022 in real life to just test it, wasn't happiness. That wasn't even on the radar for one of the emotions that actually drives business. The emotions were 5 of them. And my acronym for them is HAM with 3 A's, because we like to say that emotions bring home the bacon, right? So hopeful, adventurous, active, accepted, and motivated. So hopeful, will your participants feel like tomorrow will be better than today? Are you giving them hope that your solution, your products, your conversation, your connections will make their lives better? Adventure. Are you getting them a little out of their comfort zone? Are they leaning in? Are they trying something new or even watching someone else try something new? Does it kind of spark that little feeling of adventure for them? Accepted. Are they actually in the right room and do they feel like they're in the right room? Were they welcome? Do they belong? Are they with their people? Do they really feel like this is my tribe? Active. Are you doing something more than just passive engagement where you're throwing stuff on a screen to them? Are they actually getting to participate, whether it's using sticky notes or contributing to a conversation or building something together with you? And then motivated. Once they've got all this, are they actually going to go do something with it? Turns out all of those emotions still release oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. So really, it produces happiness. That's the happiness drug. But actually the 5 emotions. So when we are measuring for an event that we want to drive business, we make sure it has those 5 emotions in it, because if you can connect on those 5 levels, the connections people are making will drive business with each other, with the sponsor, and with the event organizer in equal measures. It turned out they were all the same across the board. So when it comes to actually measuring emotion, are you getting a return on emotion? This is why you go pitch the CEO to do a hot wings challenge and eat hotter and hotter chicken wings with the person he's interviewing on stage. It's because it's a great way to change that keynote into being an adventurous moment where people will lean in, where people will feel like an active participant because they're knowing they're going to ooh and ah and laugh over you crying over something rather than just slides and standing up.
So you came from corporate. If you were sitting in IBM right now and you went and you said, "Here, we're doing the ham thing. This is what we're doing." What would the CFO say to you?
Well, again, knowing what slide goes where, right? So the CFO might not necessarily care about ham. What the CFO will care about is my research results that said NPS, which is what they're used to seeing on the slides, is not a predictor of future business. NPS is a predictor of past business. After they've come to this event, after they've had that product experience, will they recommend it? Sweet. This ROE, if you can craft and get people to respond that you got all 5s on all 5 of those emotions, that is an actual predictor of future business. So you can tie it. You can go super deep into the metrics, which we're not going to do on the podcast, but you truly can tie it to the numbers. But I think the ROE one is the one that you're going to pitch to the CMO, because they're trying to change feeling, trust, and they do want to back it up with business, which is going to be important, which is what ROE does, but they're truly trying to connect people to an experience and a brand a lot more. Unless they're, of course, the data-driven CMO that is tied to the CRO who really needs to make sure the pipeline and revenue is going to happen. And then you go back and heavily rely on this drives business. And if we can hit all 5 of these marks, you will have measurable pipeline and revenue.
Great answer. I want to know, and I think everyone wants to know, do you use any structured tools like surveys, NPS, social listening, behavior tracking to capture this? Or is it more intuitive? How do you actually capture ROE?
Yeah, no, you actually ask it in the survey. So if you're doing, whether it's on-site surveys before people are leaving and you can capture some, you generally getting a higher percentage than when you send out an email, by the way, is if you actually have people stationed at the door asking these 5 quick questions. And it is simply the sliding scale. So take the hope. After this event, do you feel more hopeful or less hopeful? And after this event, do you feel more motivated or do you feel less motivated? It's that simple. It's a sliding scale, 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, whatever you want to use. But so we use 1 to 5. And if you do it on a 5-point scale, an average score across all 5 emotions of 4.86 or greater was an indicator that business would close between the people that were there together.
That's amazing. Is there any tech that you would use for this?
Yeah,
or is it
literally you can
just
use any
humans?
tech. Like it's very tech agnostic on that. You put it on an iPad. You can use an event survey tool. You can have it in the app. We've done that before. You build it into the app. So when people are going to do the survey, they get the notification and it's real quick. 5 questions, move the slidey thing. So it doesn't really matter how you capture it. It just matters that you capture it.
What percentage of people, I don't know if you know this answer, actually fill this out, as they're leaving? If you put it in an app or something, like, so you can get
Depends
data.
on how you are with your surveys. We hear that 3% of people actually fill out post-event surveys, but we did have one person tell us that their secret was it was at a sales kickoff and they measured ROE and it was in the survey. But in order to access all of the photos that were taken during the event, you had to answer the survey and then you would get the link to all the photos. So they had a 98% survey result fill out because they were holding the photos hostage.
Incentive. Yes. Incentivize people. That's what I was trying to think of is it seems that if you park somebody there asking you a question, it's more likely than just get it in an email and fill it out.
Yeah.
So
I'll say
I
from
love
our
that.
spontaneous think tanks that we do, we don't even do a post-event survey anymore. We do a retrospective, which we've always done from the beginning, is while everyone's in the room, we have 2 microphones at the front of the room and it's get everyone together and say, come up here and tell us one thing that you loved about your experience and one thing we should change for next time. And we get immediate feedback. We get immediate ideas for the next time. And they're able to see it when they come to the next event that we took their recommendations and we either implemented or we didn't, right? But it's the best way to get actual useful information.
I love ROE, and I've actually only started using it within the last year and a half. It was just all straight ROI, engagement, numbers, attendance, And then I actually read a book by Lisa Feldman Barrett called How Emotions Are Made, and I
Uh-huh.
recommend it to everyone because if you are questioning whether ROE is going to benefit your events or experiences, I say read that book, because it teaches you how emotions are actually made in each person. And if you
Mm.
can, if they are made in a certain way in the book that she proves, you can actually design your events that way. And you
Yeah.
can trigger, your 5, your ham emotions.
Mm.
And so you can actually design your events that way.
Yeah, I
Well,
love
I
that.
would like to know from you, how do you draw the line between an event and an experience?
Do we have to? I mean, honestly, I think that we are so messed up about definitions, about job titles, about what things are. We wrap ourselves around the axle trying to define it, and then some other company picks a completely different word or phrase. I don't know that it matters. Do you think it matters?
I personally feel like, and we talked about this in our industry, and I just posted this on LinkedIn the other day, don't call me a party planner. Like, I am not a party planner. I am not in the backyard, Martha Stewarting it. I am an event planner. And an event planner means that I know how to bring ROI. I know how to track, measure success of events, and I create experiences. I truly create experiences. And I think it's that party planner title that kind of drags event planners down to, it's like, well, no, I'm not a party planner. There's this hierarchy. And I think that everyone kind of wants to move away from the word event because of the
Mm,
hierarchy and be experiences.
yeah.
That's my take on it.
Okay.
But I think it's all the same thing. We're all
It is.
getting
Well, and
together.
I actually did a post not too long ago saying, hey, I've spent my 20-year career, 25-year career now, telling people I'm not a party planner and that I do care about pipeline and revenue and beyond budgets and BEOs. I care that we're driving revenue to the business. But then what do I do all day, every day right now? I literally plan parties. It is all I do. Some are on a yacht. Some are on a secret trip taking people to New Zealand and they don't know where they're going. Some are literally parties in a house, like a house party. That is all I do. But I'm still tracking pipeline and revenue. I know that from our last secret trip, the one in 2019, over $45 million in business was done among the 80 people on that plane. But I basically just threw a party.
Can you point to a specific Club Ichi gathering where you saw ROE translate into something tangible as a business outcome, career change, partnership? Just give one example.
Literally every single thing that we do, I've seen it come from. So the secret family reunion trip we just did, we invited 50 people to buy a ticket, meet us in Los Angeles, bring a passport, and pack for 8 days. And we really didn't tell them anything else. And when they got to the hotel in Los Angeles, we had set up this whole reveal party and swag experience where we revealed that we had bought out premium economy on Air New Zealand and we're taking them to New Zealand for 8 days. So we stuck them on a plane 3 hours later and went to New Zealand for 8 days. So what came out of that trip, we saw 7 RFPs among the people that were on that trip together. We saw 3 people get job offers from other people that were on the trip together. We saw partnerships form and people start working on projects together, from the solopreneurs getting pulled into other projects and some coming up with collaborations that they just thought up together from this. So when you create an environment that has enough white space for people to not have to just sit and get, and to actually learn who you are as people, who you are in real life, what do you like to do, then all of this magic can form out of that. So I see that at every single one of our events. We're getting better and better at tracking it. That was our problem, is that we're just like, we see it and we hear it later. But now we're like actively asking those questions, and really being able to quantify the fact that the social club thing actually works. Turns out throwing parties is all people really ever wanted.
That is so amazing. That, my wheels started turning when you said that people were actually getting jobs off of
Mhm.
this. I have job searched before, and it is the worst feeling in the entire world. And how much was your secret trip? How much did
It
it cost?
it was $10,000, but
So,
it was 8 days all inclusive, including 4 plane tickets.
so how much do people pay a recruiter? I mean, for
Oh, right.
$10,000, if I was in a horrible job search situation, I would pay $10,000 to be thrown into a group of people and find my right job and walk away with a job. Absolutely. That
But
is
that's
such
an
a
extreme, because most of our events are $100. Like, most of our events, if you're a member, most of them are free. And the think tanks are $100. So like that one was extreme because it included 4 airplane tickets and all inclusive basically vacation. So yeah, but we have
well,
the fun one coming up is Happy Camp. August 18th is the week in 2027, and we are taking over an adult summer camp in the Poconos. And that one is going to be wild and crazy and amazing.
okay, I might have to come to that one because that sounds like so much fun. Absolutely. Nostalgic. We
But
talked about that before.
Absolutely. But when you talk about like job hunting and all that, that's where you're spot on. We'll actually even have payment plans for that one. So you don't have to pay 2,900 all at once. You can break it up over the course of between now and next year when the event happens, so that we can make it more feasible for people to join. And that's, our intent isn't to price people out of it. It's to be as inclusive as we possibly can.
Absolutely. People come to me all the time and are asking, "Hey, Jenny, can you hire me? Can you introduce me to somebody?" And so now knowing this, I'm going to say, I think you should join Club
We
Ichi.
have a free job seeker membership. It's free for 90 days. People can come into Club Ichi and you get access to our Slack channel. And then we have something called a job search council every other week, where we bring in recruiters to talk about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. We'll bring in, we have a performance psychologist that kind of helps you through that overcoming rejection, because that's really all job seeking is these days, is getting rejected the instant you hit the submit button. And so there's a lot of mental energy that goes into it. So it's a really good, I highly encourage. And by the way, if you still don't have a job within 90 days, just tell us. We will extend your free trial. It is not about turning you into a money-making machine. We want everyone here to be employed. Or if you choose not to and become a solopreneur, become a freelancer, we've got those resources inside Club Ichi too. Remember, 30% of our membership are fractional folks, and they help each other. They connect each other. That's what this is about.
So I have one more question for you, and I know that you've scaled pretty quickly. Do you worry that scaling so quick is going to threaten the intimacy that you've built?
1,000% yes. Yeah, I think that when people ask goals, big things we want to do, we don't intend to be one of those giant organizations with 20,000 members, until we can truly figure out how to make that real. I would be okay with 1,000 to 3,000 members, as long as the events and experiences that we're still creating are micro events. Our retreats are for 20 people. Happy Camp, with the biggest thing we've ever done, at 250 people. All of our supper clubs are for 20 people. Our think tanks, 50 to 100 people. That's where it really matters to me, is if we can scale those micro events while we scale the membership dollars, because that can fund those, and then the membership numbers, so that they're in more places, so that more micro events can happen. Because I think that's the biggest challenge we have, is people wanting to help us launch these city pods, and they're like, hey, I'm in Portland, I would love to do one here. There's 6 members in Portland. So how do we get the membership to grow enough to where there's 50 members in Portland and they actually want to go do local things together? And then the membership dollars, if those come in at kind of the top level, we can start funding those things for the city pods so they stay free for people to go to. Because that's how it is right now. If you're a member, they're free unless there's an actual cost that we have to get covered. And really, that's the goal.
So what is coming up next? I know we have summer camp next year, but what is coming up in the next 6, 8, 10 months?
Yeah. Okay. So when are we releasing this conversation?
I was hoping to next week.
Okay, so we're talking August. So we're going to be in Toronto August 10th. That's the first thing coming up. It's a clubhouse. It's one of our parties. We've got some supper clubs coming up all through the fall in Baltimore, Minneapolis. Where's our other ones? We've got an Austin one. So all of those are popping up. The city pods are really launching. Dallas just did a pickleball night. The Philadelphia city pod is launching with a day at Netflix House and kind of going behind the scenes there. Orlando is ramping up their city pod. So a lot of those things are starting to happen. We will be at IMEX. We have a hosted buyer group. So if anyone's looking for a home as a hosted buyer, we throw a big fun party on the Monday night of IMEX. So come hang with us. And let's see what else we got going on. We have our Barefoot Business Retreat, which is mostly our solopreneurs, but everyone's welcome. It's 20 people. It's in Belize this year. All sorts of great stuff.
Fascinating. I love what you have built. I cannot wait to meet. I've met some members already, and they're absolutely just amazing people, and they love what you've built, and they enjoy it.
And I'm going to see you next week in Kansas City. Is that right?
Yes. I will see you in Kansas City at the Event Connector. I'm the game show host. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've never been to Kansas City. And then even better, I heard it was Kansas City, Missouri. I've never been to Missouri. This is going to be great.
I know. I didn't know that it was like a teetering and it's like one city on both. So I'm learning.
Right.
I'm in Denver right now and I didn't even know that. So,
but
awesome. Yes, I can't wait to see you. And I'm hoping I was trying to get to the Toronto event, but I don't think I'm going to make it because I'm in the middle of a move. But
yeah,
thank you so very much for sharing all of this information. And where can people find you?
Absolutely. ClubIchi.com. That's where you can start. Come hang with us. We also have just launched an initiative called The Green Room, which was originally intended for early career professionals, but really it's just if you're green in any topic and have an interest in learning about it, it's a group for the curious. So we're doing all these behind the scenes experiences. Like I think we're going to do one at Kalahari Resorts where how do you run an entire indoor water park while hosting a convention at the other part of your resort property? How do you install vinyl like you would an experiential activation? We're doing that with Strong Events here in Austin and learning how they vinyl entire rooms or wrap buildings. We're going to go to an AV company and learn, like go into the warehouse and find out about all the AV parts. How do they even manage this stuff? So if you're just curious, right now, all of those events are free for everybody to come in and join us at, and we're trying to expand those as well.
Awesome. Well, I will include your information, Club Ichi's information, your LinkedIn, because that's how I hit you up and we had a great conversation. I will put that all in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here today. I think that everyone is going to really learn a lot about ROI, ROE, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yay. Thanks so much, Jenny.